right, good evening all, our big audience here this evening. I'd like to call forward our assistant in our engineering department, Travis Mabry, is going to give us some background on some of the things we have in Waterford Village this evening. So.
That's the entirety of my presentation there, that one slide. Oh, you got the words on here.
Oh, we got the.
Go back to there again. Go back into slideshow. Then where it's, hover over where it shows the little dots by the camera. One more over, other way.
There you go.
Left, go left. One more, there you go.
All right. Yeah, that happened to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Waterford Village Phase 1. So we're here before you this evening to talk about public street acceptance and a corresponding traffic control order. I'm going to go point at this slide now. Actually, I can't even point at it because you won't see it. So this drone shot was provided by Tim Cavanaugh. He's the developer, he's in the audience. I'm just going to say a few pieces of words up here, and then I'll introduce Tim. But what we're here for today is the acceptance of Waterford Village Drive and a little section of Marlborough Street connection. That's the main road you see in that drone picture there. So that's the only portion of this project that this resolution has to do with. There's all kinds of other moving parts on this project that I'll let Tim speak to. But the water, the sanitary, the storm, and the street have all been installed per the technical standards. We did our walkthrough, addressed our punch list items, so we're ready to accept the street into a public system. With that being said, I think Tim's fresh here off of a flight. So I'm going to introduce Tim and let him come up and talk a little more about the Waterford project.
Thank you very much. Tim Cavanaugh, and I'm in charge of all the design and construction for this project and for the Savannah type projects that we have. To me, it's a very exciting project. I think working with your team here in the city's been great. And Travis always checks how we doing and all that, but I've been very pleased. Everybody's been very fair with us, and obviously when you get a site this large, there's been several issues. We've spoken to the mayor a few times from some of the comments, but we really try to be as good of a neighbor as possible. We're really excited to start to get to the occupancy of this. Like you can see from the paving here, the thing I like about this picture is here we are disturbing 50, 60 acres of property, and we've got asphalt even in front of in a lot of our residences. So it's going to really cut down a lot of the dirt and a lot of the problems that we've had with dragging dirt onto Lake Michigan Drive. So right now, like we said, the road has been complete. We have all the utilities in there, all the utilities that are running down, all the public utilities are complete. And we are working towards an initial occupancy of the first 4 buildings sometime in February of this next year. So this is like the first step was to get the road in there. Our next step after this is to get a temporary leasing trailer set up on site. We've been working with Megan on that, and then to start to develop a presence within Walker, and we're really excited about it. I think it's going to be very well received, and we're really excited to be a member of your community. And so, if there's any other questions,
Commissioners?
I have a quick one.
Commissioner
So you said the connection to Marlboro is going to be a part of this, but and maybe this is a Travis question, but what about the connecting road over to Lincoln in the front?
Phase 2. So
Okay.
this is phase 1 infrastructure is Waterford Village Drive and the little connection to Marlborough Street. I'll repeat myself for those listening online. So phase 1 for the infrastructure is Waterford Village Drive, the main street you see paved there in the middle of the picture. And at the very top of the picture, you see a little connection there of Marlborough Street. Phase 2 infrastructure is Savannah Drive connection. That'll be closer to Lake Michigan Drive by the commercial properties. And we have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for 2 weeks from Wednesday on that.
and we expect that work. I'm going to try to start some of the utility work while it's in the winter and things are a little easy. Don't create as much mud. But I would like to, I feel that we'll probably have that opened up maybe June, July of next year, that new connection with Savannah Drive coming down and then the relocation of Lincoln Lawns. And one of the things we've done with that is to really work with Scott on the sequencing of that whole process to really try to minimize any of the impact to the residents that there. Because when you relocate their road, all of a sudden they don't have it. So it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a process to get the contractors to just stay with the plan to make sure that we minimize any impact that people have as far as where they can park, get to their house. And so we'll try to make it as seamless as we can.
Great, thank you.
Is there gonna be signing on that north end by Marble for indicating no construction traffic through the Lincoln Lawns neighborhood, or how are we gonna make sure that we don't have construction traffic going through that Lincoln Lawns neighborhood area?
Well, I know we've had a few issues with that occasionally, but I think we've gotten the word out with all our contractors that do not, and every time we've caught somebody, we would yell at them. We've sent out letters. We've done everything we can, and we're just going to continue that policy.
Do you think that we could place a sign maybe on that north end at the end of Waterford Village and Marble indicating no construction traffic any further to that west side, because there's no need for them to be going through that neighborhood? They can, from my point of view, use that Waterford Village through only to Lake Michigan Drive instead of going through the neighborhood. I would think that would be good for both our residents in the Lincoln Lawns neighborhood to keep it that way.
Yeah, when we have the pre-construction meeting for phase 2, I'll make sure to add that to one of our notes then.
Yeah, I think that would be good, but also now too, especially with the construction going on with the condos, just so they don't go that way.
I don't have a problem with that. So I'll work with Travis and the best place to locate it, so we feel it's the most effective.
Maybe, sorry, Tim, one of the, maybe for consideration, because I understand Tim has been the brunt of a little frustration on behalf of the neighbors who, I'm sure there are many watching online or will be watching it taped, but, there's an accountability that we all have with our roles. You have as developer, I have as a mayor of a city, that, we always get yelled at for things sometimes we haven't necessarily done, but we've had some challenges with, there's a contractor and subcontractors that have at times not heard the messaging. We had with the early morning stuff that, we've gotten to the point where we were going to start issuing tickets in violation of our noise ordinance within the city. I'm wondering the feasibility of a temporary traffic control order prohibiting truck traffic going in and out of those neighborhoods, because if they weren't getting the message before, I'm really concerned that they're going to be going through that neighborhood. I'm really getting tired of listening to it. And again, out of your doing, Tim, you've been very responsive on things on behalf of your organization. It's our contractor and the subs going through there. So our city engineer's right there. You heard me say temporary traffic control order and you jumped up.
Well, I think one thing we have to be careful of is that the next item, or one of the other items on the agenda, is to approve the new house development, single-family development that's there. Half of those homes are going to be on Lincoln Lawns Drive. So it's going to be even more difficult now to ascertain which vehicles are authorized to be there, to really work together. And we're going to need your help as you get calls to make sure that we do follow up and check, because if there's a guy digging a basement, or the concrete guy that comes and puts that in, the truck that brings the trusses, all those kinds of things, they are allowed to come in from the road that they're fronting on. So we're going to have a real challenge to try to differentiate between the two of those. But that doesn't mean that we can't help with the heavy construction that goes on with the apartments and the road, to make sure that those vehicles aren't getting in there. So a little patience is going to be great to give us 8 or 12 hours to follow up on these things and make sure that we can tell the difference between the two.
Okay. I see you reaching.
I forgot what I was gonna say now.
Okay. So I think the point of that is just on behalf of all of us, if we know what that plan is. I'm thinking of the 3rd Ward commissioners here that also get to catch the brunt of it, myself and even others up here, that if we have some type of plan there that mitigates that traffic through those neighborhoods.
one thing I want to bring up during the phase 2 pre-construction meeting also is we know that we've had issues with dust, noise, and traffic. So I'm gonna be asking for just doesn't need to be anything fancy, but a brief written plan on how we're planning to communicate that to all the contractors. So that should get into things like signing, and messaging, so that we try to eliminate some of the problems that we had in phase 1. Big thing, we're talking about dust control and using something more robust than the water truck, out there for when we do that. So we will ask for a written plan, and so we'll have something to write that we can hold Tim to as we work through phase 2.
I think one of the things probably exacerbating the problem a bit is this is one of our, actually there's a couple of neighborhoods in here that are some of our more traditional neighborhoods in the city. They've had low turnover with the housing over the years. They're very stable. In some cases, second generations are in the homes in that area. So we're trying to be good stewards of the city's resources here, in the decisions we make and the policies we set. I just want to make sure that as we're going through this, that this next phase, we just continue to get better and better at, mitigating the public situations we've had lately. So I spoke my piece on it. There's a plan, or going to be a plan developed here that communicated at some point. Commissioners, Commissioner Chase, do you remember? No. Okay. Commissioner DeShane or Burke, coming your way.
I have a question. Isn't there some kind of a policy with large trucks that they have to, once they leave a more heavily traffic route, they have to go to the nearest road of that construction? So is that going to also be kind of a factor? Asking, just knowing that we just went through that with our development.
That's correct. So we have truck route streets and then major streets and local streets. In this case, both Waterford Village Drive and Lincoln Lawns are considered local streets, so we want to make sure that any construction traffic stays on Waterford if it's for the Waterford development. As Scott said, we're going to have some on Lincoln for when the houses are built on Lincoln, but only that construction traffic. So it's trying to parse out which of the two local streets to use. So that's why we want to do a written plan, so we make sure that we get signs in the right spots, and we're communicating with the various contractors and subcontractors where to go and what hours to work.
I think with that plan, just as long as there's a little bit, and it's emphasized, and maybe the message will get across at some point, that there's a little bit more teeth in it this time with the contractors and the subs that are out there. Realize it's not going to be 100% perfect, but again, I'm trying to minimize, get that as small as we can. So, all right. Commissioners to my right, Gilbert, Babcock, Groders, anything else? Okay. Tim, anything else on your end?
No, I think.
Okay.
Can't wait to get all the grass in and.
I mean, the houses are looking nice, and and I know that we all wrestle commissions in front of us decades back when even some of the homes we're looking at on here were not there, and you can see some of the Grand Rapids stuff right to the right of the tree line over there. We're realizing where those city limits are, how close they are. But when you look at a lot of this, 20, 30 years ago, there's spots here, there was no housing. And it's, so every time you're holding public office, in a locality like ours, you have these things that come up that, would it have been nice to keep it as a golf course? But we need the housing bad. So, we're grateful for that aspect of it. Change in construction is never pretty. And I want to acknowledge that. But this is not something that it's this commission. It's, as I look around there and I can start picking out neighborhoods there, even to the north, that are fairly new, that are not more than 20 years old themselves. And they went through the same thing with their neighbors before that were already in the streets and stuff. So that being said, stuff's starting to look good. Hopefully we're in a little bit of the home stretch here. So with that being said, we're good on this end of it. So I think we're set for now. Tim, thank you. And then Paula, we are doing great on time. And had asked Paula to actually come forward, and she's going to share. We've got 3 different items on here. One is the traffic control order for signage, the stop sign, the temporary stop sign on Waterford Drive. That is item 8B under the consent agenda. That's until the traffic light's in. And then we jump to the 9B, which is what we just talked about, the street addition certification, Waterford Village, for that phase one development of accepting that into our local street inventory. And then Paul is actually going to cover right now the final site condominium project plan for Waterford.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
So this is the overall site plan for the Waterford Village Drive development. The PASP was approved back in 2021. So we've been discussing, there are multiple components to this project, so I just want to focus in on what this piece is. If you'll go with me, so the piece that was discussed, the multifamily component is under construction now. There's also the commercial component that you can see where the new Savannah Drive South will go through and the realigned Lincoln Lawns Road. The infrastructure component has already been approved. As each of the 5 commercial lots wants to be developed, they will have to go back to the Planning Commission for FASP approval. So those haven't started coming in yet, but they will. Then there is the RPUD1, or the single-family component of the overall development. That is for 68 single-family residential lots, and they split that into 2 pieces. You can think of Marlboro as the dividing line. There's a northern section, which is the majority of the lots. Those have been sold to a local builder, and they plan to plat that section, and so that will come into the Planning Commission. They told me they were planning to bring it in for a December Planning Commission meeting, so we expect that shortly. The southern piece is the one we're talking about tonight. There are reorienting now north. I circled the north arrow to help you realign how we're looking at this component. 9 single-family lots. This section is going through the site condominium process. It was at the Planning Commission on November 1st, and they approved the FASP with conditions, and the site condominium, the preliminary site condominium plans were recommended to you for approval with a few conditions. The site condo master deed and bylaws have already been reviewed and accepted by the city attorney. So many of the components are in order for this to move forward if it is approved. The conditions that the Planning Commission put on their approvals are regarding the minimum building opening. There were a few concerns about some egress windows potentially being too low. And so I know city engineer has been working with the developer's engineer on that, and that was signed off by the Planning Commission for staff to finalize that. The easements and the deed must be recorded, and there was a condition about one of the lots being too small, and requesting that they amend that. So that has actually already been accomplished. The plan that was in your packet for tonight has fixed that. A few of the lot lines were adjusted to make sure there was no single lot that was kind of an outlier as too small. And that is the kind of the plan we're looking at. With the 19 lots, there are 2 small parks. You can see them, Savannah Park. There is a large tree there that was retained. There's a retaining wall. And then where Marlboro is on the north end, there is also a park, Village Park. It was renamed to help it differentiate it from the existing Lincoln Lawns Park. And both of those parks will be open, according to all the documents that have been approved so far, open to the public. There aren't extensive plans for them yet, kind of just open space in the development, but that is what we're looking at for the site condominium component. It's before you as a resolution tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Commissioners. Commissioner Burke?
Thanks, Paul. I've not seen this process before. So the condominium approval project, is there more specified set of approvals that come on later with how the condos are going to be developed, et cetera, and how the park's going to look? Or are we approving tonight, it's going to be what it is after we do this?
This is kind of the final step. The Planning Commission did their review, held a formal public hearing, and then made the recommendation here. And these are lots, so the local builder will work, whether they're speculative homes or they have clients that they're building specific homes for. Those will all come in individually for building permits and staff review, but this component as a whole, these 19 lots, will not come back for a final time.
Okay, so the builder owns all the properties, but they could sell individual properties to some different builder to build a specific kind of house as long as it's in accordance with,
Yes.
right, that's fine. I don't understand why the park isn't more specified. Why is it, yeah, there's a park there, we put PARK on it, but we have no plan. It sounds to me that then there will be no plan if we're not approving anything, if we don't have no further review.
That was discussed at the planning commission as well. I'm not sure if our planning commission, city commissioner has any, thing to say about that as well.
I can. First, I would stipulate these are not city parks. They're going to be owned and maintained by the condominium association for the project. So I suppose they have the right to maintain or develop the parks in the shape and fashion that they prefer. The second piece of this is that I think Savannah Park is specifically in that location to preserve a pretty significant tree. Village Park, I think, is meant to be a little more open and for general use, and probably will again be however the members of the condo association deem it should be, with the amenities that they deem appropriate for their condo association.
There's
Okay.
also some utility infrastructure that runs through that northerly lot that makes it hard to build on. Not impossible, but hard, and they chose to keep it as open space.
The village park piece.
The village
Yeah.
park, yes, thank you.
Okay, so the notes from the planning commission say that Mr. Rodriguez said that they will be public parks. That's not correct. They won't be public parks.
City-owned parks, but the parks will be open to members of the public to utilize that.
Who are in the HOA?
No.
No,
Note 7.
help me, where?
Parks are dedicated for use of the public.
Okay, so it'll be up to the HOA to figure out how they're going to, what they're gonna do to develop these parks that will then be public.
If they do much other than mow or plow snow, with them, because there'll be sidewalks through there.
I think the way it's written is intended to allow the public to use the park that they own. So that would be similar to like, if there was a park in my neighborhood and it was owned by our COA, but we did not have prohibition of whereas like if there's, what they did in English Hills is they said these park spaces are for our tenants only. So that's kind of the differentiation.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm asking.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
exactly
yeah,
what I'm asking.
yeah.
English Hills is gonna be for English Hills. We're saying that this is not necessarily gonna be just for Lincoln Lawns or.
But it's not the
Waterford
city
Village.
maintaining
But it's
them,
not city
the
maintained. It'll be up to the
associations,
HOA
right?
to put it together, and they'll do it in their interest, obviously. But ultimately, it will be a public park, unlike English Hills, which will not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I do want to.
Sorry, I understand.
I do want to commend the developer, because that's not something you see with, granted, there's a tree there and there's some utility work on that north end there. The fact that there is, park that's being dedicated space for the neighborhoods in that area I think is admirable, so. I had a question on that a second ago, we'll come back to it. Any other questions to my left, to the right? Okay, anything else you want to share? Commissioner Gilbert?
Yeah, I can just add a quick comment. We feel really good about this part of the project. I think that the feel from the public was not that there was any concern about the development itself. And the one item that did come up as we went through our review process of the condo project here was, and it's kind of come up a little bit this evening even, the concerns about construction schedule and I guess respecting the neighbors as the process on goes. It sounds like we're in a good spot and I feel comfortable moving forward, but just, I guess, continuing to maintain that diligence about how the construction will proceed as this phase moves in, which is even further encroaching into the neighbors' existing space. So just wanted to put that note into the air because it was the only concern that came up as we reviewed the condo project.
Awesome, thank you. I believe we are good on that then. Thank you, Paula. We are at 6:55. I'm going to give everybody, if they need a quick break for anything, do so, and then we'll start up here at 7 o'clock and try to squeeze in everybody's comments. Well, good evening, all. It is Monday, November 13th, 2023 to 7 p.m., and we'll actually call our regular city commission meeting to order. I'd like to invite, I think it's appropriate, Veterans Day weekend. I invite Commissioner Burke to deliver the invocation and lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the wonderful weather and the chance to get out and about and around town under sunny skies. Guide us in our endeavors to improve the quality of life in the city and the greater community. Look out after us all, especially those in need and those who protect us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I'd like to invite everybody to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you all. If I could please ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Carey.
Present.
Commissioner Gilbert.
Present.
Commissioner Babcock. Present. Commissioner Groders.
Present.
Commissioner Chase. Present. Commissioner DeShane.
Present.
Commissioner Burke.
Present.
All right. Next on the list is the approval of minutes from the October 23rd, 2023 City Commission meeting. Is there any question or discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner DeShane, Commissioner Chase, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you all. Next on the list is public comment on any agenda items. Usually somebody that sits in the last row has to come up with public comment. Anybody? All right. Seeing no public comment, next on the list is consent agenda. We have two items. First is the expenditures in the amount of $1,410,630.44. The second is the traffic control order 278, putting a temporary stop sign at Waterford Village Drive and Lake Michigan Drive until the traffic light can be put in. Is there any question on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Commissioner Burke, Commissioner Groders, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you all. 23-689, actually we could have covered that at 6:55, my bad. Of precinct location award number 2, precinct 6. Would you like to give any background or not? You got it? Okay. Pretty self-explanatory. We're moving from one church to another church.
Yes, from Remembrance Church back to the Vine Church. We were there before when it was Mount Olive. They had some ownership changes, I guess. So we were kicked out of there, but would like to move back. And we already have a facilities agreement signed by Pastor Richter.
And for that precinct, that's where it belongs.
I agree.
Not
Yeah.
over.
Yes.
Not as convenient.
Yeah,
for
back into Ward
residents.
2, where the current location is in Ward 1. So moving it back into Ward 2 would, the voters wouldn't have to travel as far. It's more local home for them.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to thank Pastor Richter too, and the Pastor Jim and his the Vine congregation for working with us on that. So, is there any question on relocation of precinct location Ward 2, precinct 6? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Babcock? Commissioner DeShane? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Resolution 23-689 is passed. Next on the list is Resolution 23-690. This is the Act 51 Street Edition certification for the Waterford Village Phase 1 development, and this is bringing the Waterford Village street system into the city inventory, as we covered at the 6:30 Committee of the Whole meeting. Is there any questions on Resolution 23-690? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
Make a motion.
Mr. Chase?
Support.
Commissioner Groders? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Resolution 23-690 is passed. Next on the list is Resolution 23-691, Final Site Condominium Project Plan, Waterford Village. We also just had a presentation from our Community Development Director, Paula Preby, on that. Is there any other questions or discussion on said resolution? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
So moved.
Commissioner Gilbert?
Support.
Commissioner Groders. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you all. Rolling right along here. Next, other public comment. Non-agenda agenda items. Seeing none, we'll get to Commissioner and Manager comments. Mr. City Manager, I'll turn to you first.
All right. I guess first off on our December meeting dates, so did we finalize that for December 11th and 18th? Is that correct, Debbie? For the December meetings, I know we talked about it.
I haven't heard anything since the last meeting.
Okay. So I think as a commission, we talked about the 11th and 18th as having our meeting, so we should probably, I don't know if you need a motion for that or.
Do you want to do a motion?
All
I
in
think it was
agreement?
11th, 18th. I'm looking at Commissioner Gilbert.
Yeah, I think 11th and 18th. Do you want a motion? We can just do that procedurally.
I just wanted to check the date.
It
Procedurally, yes.
was that so that we could do that for the
Right.
ordinance.
Yes.
And no meeting on the 25th. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because.
Hey, you're welcome to come by yourself. We're not coming with you.
No, I'm not going to be there.
So,
But we're scheduling some things for the 18th meeting, so I just wanted to make sure that that's on the date, which kind of leads me to my next reminder is on the 18th of December, we're going to be having a presentation from the library architect team with our kind of, hopefully at that point, a final recommendation to move forward on the site and the location of the building. A lot of good hard work's gone into that process, so pretty excited about what's going on. And the week or prior to that, on the 7th, we're going to be having our larger subcommittee meeting, and I think the commission was invited to that last time if you're interested. That's kind of our working group, but if you're willing to stop, or actually can stop in if you have time that afternoon, you're happy to see what's going on. But again, good progress on that project, pretty exciting. But yeah, the team will be here at the 18th meeting to give a presentation at 6:30 at that meeting. So I don't know, Scott, if you have anything to add on that. I think things are moving along. We have the RFP out for the general construction team to help us on that. So those bids are due, I think, in a couple of weeks. So yeah, moving right along on that. So that was that. At the next meeting on the 27th, Doug Vredeveld will be here for our audit presentation at 6:30. So good news on that. So you don't want to miss it. And I think that's about it. Nicole sent out a reminder about the ribbon cutting for the senior center on December 5th. So that's upcoming. And Standale Lighting is out for bid. Those bids are due, I think, next week on Tuesday. So we'll see if we get what kind of responses we get on that. So a lot of projects in the hopper and dates that Scott is shuffling for us. So that's all I have.
we're not even let Scott deer hunt this year because of that, so, not initially anyway. All right, Mr. Assistant City Manager.
Good evening. Just one item. On Wednesday night, 6:30 in this room, the Planning Commission will hold a meeting to review the first draft of the new zoning ordinance. And City Commission, ZBA, and DDA have been invited. Our consultant, Chris Corey, is going to go through a presentation and try to make it digestible, to talk about essentially the main points of things that may change, and then some of the reformatting that we're doing. So if you have time on Wednesday night, I know it's November 15th, so not everyone's going to make it, but what's going to happen schedule-wise after this is the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing, I believe, on December 6th. And then if that gets approved there for the new zoning ordinance, then City Commission will review your first reading on the 18th. So that's the ideal schedule. It can be flexed, but that's what we're going to try and do. So Wednesday night, 6:30, feel free to come in and we'll try to explain your new zoning ordinance, of which I think the vast majority is unchanged. It will be reformatted, but the vast majority of the ordinance is the same. So no density increases, no bonus density. Those are usually the biggest things. We're not talking about any of that. So you'll see some of the design implementation from your master plan in there, new zoning districts, new zoning map, but we'll let Chris handle that on Wednesday, 6:30. I'll be there as well to help answer questions and give some context historically. So hope you can make it.
And the format for that is it is a planning commission meeting. City Commission and ZB have been invited as a courtesy invite and to actually be active participants from a feedback perspective.
Absolutely. It should be a work session. So we try to keep those informal, let everybody talk, ask your questions, let's draw things out, let's get questions answered, let's make changes. Yeah, so it's more of a work session than a lecture.
Awesome.
Okay?
All right, thank you. Commissioner Burke?
On that last bit, you talked about, you mentioned a new zoning map and new zoning plan. We still, after that's all done with this new ordinance, we're still gonna need to go through and kind of relook at where we are specific throughout the city in accordance with the new zoning ordinance, right?
Well, we're not, I guess the short answer is the next step will be to hold a work session of all the boards to identify the scope for the master plan update. The zoning that is changing is only changing in label. So I'll give you an example. I don't want to bore you with zoning and all that, but you currently have C1, C2, C3, C4, CPUD. It's a lot of districts, not a lot of difference between them. So that's going to be reduced to 2 districts, C1, C2, and then you'll always have your CPUD out there. So those are the kind of changes that we're going to talk about. So the map will reflect those changes in title, but it's not like we're saying, hey, all of these commercial properties have to be rezoned to something else. If you're zone commercial now, you're going to stay zone commercial. Same for industrial, residential, office. It'll just be the labels changing. Okay.
Okay, yep, got it, thanks. I know Commissioner Rozier is going to talk about it, but I will just briefly say I stopped by the new Senior Neighbors facility at the station. It looks awesome, lots of happy faces. I talked to several people. I know there were even a lot more there before I got there earlier in the day, so it was really quite cool. Really nice to see it coming together. You mentioned Veterans Day. I did have the honor of being the guest speaker at the Grand Rapids Veterans Day Parade downtown on Saturday. Perfect day, crisp, cold, but clear, so it was actually really nice weather, and it was a wonderful parade, so it was a pleasure to do it. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Shane?
Yeah. So my mother-in-law called me last night, and she was very, very excited about going to the senior center. And so I'm very excited to hear what she had to say about it, but she was going with a bunch of girls, so I think she was going there today at about 1 o'clock. Also, I've been getting a lot of positive feedback in regards to the Kinney and Remembrance intersection, and I was even stopped by Bob, our barber, saying that he was very, very happy with the speed of the construction and the outlook. Very, very positive feedback from him. So I think that sometimes we hear a lot of negative feedback. So I wanted to pass that on. He was really excited about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Commissioner Chase? Commissioner Groders?
Last Monday, I attended the Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council that I'm on. And obviously the one thing that concerns me is the Senior Neighbor Center, the new center. Sherry Mines had been the director there when it was on Lake Michigan Drive.
Long time.
For many, many, many years, and she chose not to continue on with that. I was concerned about who is going to be the director there at the center then. For now, it's my understanding, if they haven't hired someone, that the directors from other centers will be filling in on a temporary basis. So they'll be open and functioning, and
Well, once they come, they're not going to want to leave. It does look pretty nice.
I know, it's gorgeous. It is. It's really, really nice. The other thing that the Area Agency on Aging is doing right now is their needs assessment survey. And so if you know anyone over the age of 55, encourage them to fill out that survey. It is on Facebook as well as on their website. And that will establish services and funding and such for the next 3 years, I believe. And looking for a statistically significant survey, so looking for more responses. Right now, we're a little low, so any encouragement you can give would be appreciated.
Good stuff. Thank you. Commissioner Babcock?
Just quickly, Winterfest on the 30th, I will not be in town, so I will not be able to participate this year, sadly. But I hope it's a great event, as always.
Outstanding. Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert?
Yeah, we held our final zoning ordinance subcommittee meeting, so we did finalize the changes which have been sent along for all of us to review. Another plug for the 6:30 meeting. It is a planning commission meeting where, yes, the DDA, ZBA, and city commission are invited to attend, but also I would say encouraged to attend to provide feedback so that we can get as close to a finished product as possible for the planning commission to approve, so that when it gets here, it can be an easy process of moving it forward, and we prevent ourselves from identifying new issues that then have to be changed again. So we're trying to get as much of this done on the front end, and your participation will help to ensure that occurs. So if you're not able to attend on Wednesday for any reason, any hunters here, feel free to shoot me your thoughts, and I'll make sure that it is discussed and reviewed among the group. Additionally, Planning Commission that day held a hearing on the Waterford condo project that we all just saw. I just do want to bring up, the neighbors had no issue with the project at large. Some issues with the construction timing, some issues with the way the process is going, but I think that to commend all of us for our work that we underwent as a part of the larger project, the neighborhood is very comfortable with what is going in next door. So I think that speaks a lot to the process that we all underwent, which maybe not for all of you, but for me was very draining because I think I saw that 3 times at planning. But really happy with where we landed, and I think the neighbors are feeling very good about the condos next door. And then I will just mention, I stopped by here early today for a meeting on the Center Drive roundabout. Hope we'll continue to do informational outreach to the neighborhoods impacted to make sure that they're aware of what's going to be going on, because it'll be a pretty big impact on I think most people in Commissioner Burke and I's ward of the city spend some amount of time in that development over the course of a week or month, and will impact flow of traffic through there. So,
And that is that. On to our clerk.
So Election Day was last Tuesday. In Walker, we voted on the KDL millage proposal. It was a great day. It went well. It's a long day, especially for our workers when it's a slower election, but didn't have any issues, which was great. The turnout was about 20%. There were 3,995 votes cast, and of those, 3,308 were a yes vote. So these are unofficial results. Still, the county is still in the middle of canvass, so that should be completed the next week or so. But yeah, it was a great day. Just thank you to all of our city staff that's been supportive, you as the commission that's supportive with our elections. We couldn't do it without the support. And I do want to thank Jason, Jack, and Dale from the DPW, and I'm sure there's more that helped out. They set up our precincts the day before, and they tear everything down, and they were back here before I left. So they had everything back in the closet, so does not go unnoticed. We are very privileged to have them help with that, because I know some jurisdictions, their clerks are out there doing it themselves. So I'm very appreciative of that. And then last week, the legislative session did close, so we do have presidential primary date of February 27th will be the election. So.
Thank you. And if I'm not mistaken, you were one of the first 2 or 3 agencies. I thought you were the first that posted numbers on election night.
So yeah, the first results that get posted
Not that I keep track
are
of
from our
that.
counting board. So those are what's the results that show immediately are just from the absentee ballots. Everything else is after we bring it to county, and then they upload it there.
But there was that little
that
bit
was-
of a lull before others started to populate, so.
Honestly, I don't even see it because I'm still wrapping everything up. So
Us nerds kind of look at that stuff, so it's all good. Well done. Awesome night. A few quick things. I want to thank Daryl specifically. The Senior Neighbors Center has been a bit of a journey, over time, and a lot of turns and bends in the road over the years. But here we are. Well done. You have absolutely owned that process, and I want to say thank you from all of us, because I kept asking where we at. I mean, you were on it, so thank you. The Grand Valley Metro Council had their annual dinner this past week. It was, although we did not have a quorum for the official meeting, due to some unexpected absences. It was my first dinner serving as chair of the Metro Council, and looking forward. It's nice to see a familiar face at the table behind me that may have used to work in the City Walker up until a few weeks ago. So it was just good to see that, and hats off to Scott and Gary and the city managers, the team, just the esteem that the city is held in. It was that way before we all got here. It'll be here after we're gone, and it's because of the staff relationships we have. So well done to all of you. Also went to the State of the County event last week, or where we were at, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, and we had a nice shout out for the Senior Neighbor Center, nice picture in there. And the cool thing was people at the county who have been in that building many, many times over the years did not recognize the picture as being actually inside the fire station. So that was kind of a cool little moment. And then congrats, Kent District Library Election Day, covered that. Flexco, I had the honor, it was a little bit of a surprise on Friday, I think it was Thursday last week, the days are blurring, at Flexco. It is just neat to see the businesses invest in their employees, that there was a wall of honor put up for all their veteran employees. And it was just, they had people come from their Downers Grove headquarters up to Walker, and just heard from multiple, I got a good half with all the veterans before they did the unveiling of the wall. And we were just talking, this is all the Downers Grove folks that had come up, and they were just talking about how much they love coming to Walker. One is temporarily staying up here, trying to convince his wife to move up here. So it's just kind of cool to be in that type of a city. But specifically a shout out to Flexco for the recognition of their veteran employees. Did we cover the Rapid Open House last meeting? I can't remember. So we did something that didn't get a whole lot of fanfare. Was we did a couple weeks ago an open house for Route 33 for all the businesses that partake or try and partake of that bus in the industrial corridor, and we held it in the DPW conference room because I think we had the election stuff in here. Something was going on in here that day. But nonetheless, we held that back there. Good turnout, good feedback from the residents, and we've actually already seen some uptick in the numbers. There's been some significant changes. And for those that are not aware, and a reminder for those that are, Route 33 now, when it leaves Central Station, comes on the highway all the way around and gets off at Alpine. It does not go through the inner city, so people are able to get to the businesses a lot more quickly and efficiently up in that north corridor. And it was, it was a journey of getting that route approved, but here we are. We just need to continue to improve the ridership numbers there. Last thing on the list is we probably should do an official discretion to the City Commission. We should do an official motion for support and approval for December 11th and 18th. If we're going to change the dates, or is it a preference to put it on the next agenda at the end of November to reflect it then?
I think we can just do a motion now. Yeah. We've done that in the past, so
Okay,
I'm
just
happy to make a motion.
I make no assumptions in life, so. Okay. So moving it
So
to
the current meetings would be the 11th and the 25th, so moving the 25th
the 18th, thank you.
I will make a motion to move the December 25th meeting to December 18th, 2023.
Good man, thank you. And I heard support next to me from Commissioner Chase. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, the December Day City Commission meeting is now December 18th. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment and support, please.
So make a motion. I'll support.
I heard Commissioner Groders, Commissioner Shane. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.